Welcome to the Truth and Liberty Show, where trusted leaders bring biblical insights to important issues to help you stand for truth and effect godly change in our nation and in our world.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Truth and Liberty Show. I'm Richard Harris, your host, and it's so great to have you joining us today. We have a really special show, a little bit of a different kind of show in line for you today. My guest today is going to be Diana Hodge, and Diana is actually Iranian-born. She was an Iranian-born Muslim and lived her entire adult life in the nation of Iran. And she's going to be sharing her story today about what that was like and what ultimately happened to her. She's going to tell you about how she was abused and rejected by her family and also ultimately arrested by the police in Iran, tortured, beaten, threatened with rape, and then flogged for 99 times as punishment for the great heinous crime of singing. That's right, that's all she did, was she sang at a hotel in Dubai. And that's what she went through. But you're going to hear that story, and I want you to hear her story. I want you to hear her story so that you can understand better what it is that we're facing in the world today when we're talking about the religion of Islam. You see, we're all told, we've been told for decades now by the political elite that Islam is a religion of peace. We're told by the leftists that, well, we're all worshiping the same God, right? It's just different ways to get there, right? And we're also told that the problem in the Middle East is Israel, right? We have students on college campuses and everywhere today waving Palestinian flags, wearing the scarf that is a hallmark of the Palestinians, chanting from the river to the sea, Palestine must be free, which basically means the eradication of the nation of Israel and the Jewish state, not to mention the murder of countless Jews to accomplish that objective. And, we're told that we should negotiate with terrorists and all these other sorts of things. And by interviewing Diana today, I want to help you have a perspective of what we're dealing with when we're talking about Islam and Islamic fundamentalism. And, we recently attacked Iran on the orders of President Trump. Actually bombed their nuclear weapons facilities. We didn't attack the nation as a whole. And so this matter is in the news and it's ripe. I live here in Colorado. In Boulder, Colorado, a few weeks ago, an illegal immigrant to the United States actually went to a peaceful demonstration of people marching to bring awareness to the plight of the Jewish people and of Israel. They were not violent, they were just marching. And he threw Molotov cocktails on people and burned them with acid, sent them to the hospital and all this sort of stuff. Folks, it's just critically important that we open our eyes and we understand what it is we're dealing with. So I wanted to take some time in my monologue today to share with you some basic history about Islam and a few basics about what Islam believes. So around 570 to 632 AD is when Muhammad lived, and he lived at the town of Mecca in what is now current Saudi Arabia. And Muhammad was an orphan. His mother died at the age of 6 years old, and he was raised by other family members. By all accounts, he had a rough upbringing and childhood and was sort of an outcast. Around the age of 15, Muhammad started hearing voices. Later in life, he began to hear an onslaught of voices and messages and had an encounter with a spirit being who claimed to be the angel Gabriel. And this demon, if you will, supposedly told Muhammad that he was dictating to him the words of the one God, Allah. Of course, we know, folks, there is no God, Allah. But this demon spirit dictated these words supposedly to Muhammad, and Muhammad recorded them. And this, we're told, is the modern day Quran. Muhammad went about trying to get people to convert over to this new way of thinking about God. And the religion became known as Islam. And the word Islam means submit. And the God in Islam is called Allah, okay? And so Muhammad's trying to get people to submit to Allah by doing these Muslim practices, which in modern Islam consists of the basics of Islam, includes prayer 3 times a day, facing Mecca, various dietary restrictions, and some other stuff. However, Islam also has what's called Sharia, which is Islamic law. Islamic law is very extensive and it governs all aspects of life. In fact, the way to think of Islam is it's not just a religion. Islam is a complete way of life. This is what Muslim teachers tell you. It governs everything. In Islam, there is no separation. In true Islam, there is no separation between church and state. Islam governs the state, okay? And so, for example, when Muslims go into a territory and they erect a mosque, we Westerners and Christians and stuff, we think of a mosque, oh, that's like a Muslim church. Well, it is like a Muslim church in a sense that it's where they could go to pray and they can receive teachings about Islam, but it's far more than that. A mosque is actually more analogous to a foreign embassy. So the Muslims, when they build a mosque, they consider that mosque and the territory around it to become Muslim territory. It's actually a center for Islamic community activity, political activism, and other things like that. So when we, foolish, ignorant Americans, go into the Middle East in the war in Iraq, for example, and we take over a town and we go into the mosque and we discover, wait, this is a weapons depot, right? They've got grenade launchers and machine guns and bombs and IEDs and all this stuff loaded in here. We think, well, that's really weird. I thought this was like a church. No, it's not a church. It's a military outpost. Do you follow what I'm saying? Because in Islam, what it teaches, I can't go into all the history, but the first part of Muhammad's life was spent in Mecca. The second part of his life was spent in Medina, okay? Muhammad was persecuted supposedly in Mecca, eventually fled to Medina, where for political purposes, some people allied with him and his band of followers, which weren't many, and to increase their political strength in the community. Muhammad grows in power and eventually subverts the entire government of Medina, okay? And then Muhammad begins raiding trade caravans, right? Justifying it, of course, this is okay because it's helping us, the warriors of Allah. And we can use this booty that we're capturing and the slaves that we're capturing, and it will help us to become more powerful. And so we spread Islam, or submission to Allah. And through that, Muhammad gained a lot of power and gained control over Medina and eventually took over Mecca too, and then eventually a larger region. And his followers, it's better to think of Muhammad more like a mafioso or a pirate, okay? In this sense, in terms of what attracted people to him was the power, right? He's attracting criminals and people who prey on weaker people and this kind of thing, and they become a powerful pirate-like band that ends up growing and growing. And the only difference is that with their piracy, with their violence and oppression, they are imposing this false religion on people. So this is the next point, is that Islam spread and still spreads today through conquest. Now, it's not the only way, but historically, Islam spread through conquest. In the mid-6th century AD, when Muhammad lived, Christianity had already spread through the Middle East, even into India. It had spread into Europe, and North Africa were all Christian regions by the 5th century AD. But the Muslims begin to grow, Muhammad's group begins to grow, and they are converting people to Islam. And you need to understand how they're doing it. They are not doing it through persuasion, I promise you that. They are not doing it through signs and wonders and miracles. They're not doing it through reason. They're doing it through force and intimidation. Islam, make no mistake, was spread by the sword. So they would conquer it, come in and take over an area, and they say, you will be Muslim, swear your allegiance to Allah and to his holy prophet Muhammad, or we will cut off your head, we'll kill you, or you can become a slave of Islam and pay tribute to us. So they would either kill them, those who didn't, either you convert or you be murdered or submit through the payment of a tribute. So what we're saying by tribute is they would say, all right, you now have to pay an exorbitant tax to us out of everything that you make, and you become our political second-class citizens under tribute. So either die or submit to tribute or convert to Islam. Those were the options. And with this, they grew in power, grew in wealth, and spread throughout North Africa. And they came up, actually, Turkey. Remember the 5 churches in the book of Revelation? These are all located in what is now modern-day Turkey. Well, Islam took over Turkey, conquered these areas. Eventually, they conquered Constantinople, and it became known as Istanbul. And in the Middle Ages, they invaded Europe on the east side as far up as Budapest in Hungary. And they actually went around and invaded through Spain, took over all of Spain. Spain became known as the land of the Moors, which is Muslims who intermarried with the Spanish there. You can still see it today as you see Muslim architecture and things like that in Spain. And then they invaded up into France, and they went as far as Tours, France, where in the Battle of Tours in, I think it was the 13th century AD, the French defeated the Muslims, drove them out of France. And then in the year 1542 or 1541, the Catholic Spanish eventually drove the Muslims out of Spain, and it was restored to Catholic Christianity. But the Muslims retained control over North Africa, all of the Middle East, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey to the present day. And so Islam is not a religion of peace. It is spread by violence and conquest. In fact, in Islam, there are 2 houses. There's the house of peace and the house of war. You can look this up. The house of peace exists only for areas that are under Islamic control. In other words, we'll be peaceful with you because you are now a Muslim, or at least in submission to us. We're in charge, so yeah, it's peaceful. The entire rest of the world in Islam is called the house of war. Get that, folks. Listen to that. The house of war is everywhere else. Meaning Islam understands, they understand, and they teach that we as Muslims are at war with the rest of the world because the rest of the world is against Allah, and we have to bring them into submission to Allah. Another thing you need to understand is that there is a Messiah in the Muslim religion. He's called the Mahdi, and he's going to come back someday, and he's going to establish Muslim domination across the entire world. Now, the Muslims, they believe things like that it's okay to kill unbelievers. In fact, it says if you find a Christian under a rock and a Jew under a rock, you can kill them. It's okay to lie in Islam. It's actually virtuous to lie, especially to non-Muslims, to gain an advantage. So you're lying for the sake of Allah, so that's a good thing. This is why they're constantly breaking their treaties and their ceasefires and all these promises they give us, is because they're operating under a different rule book. And I could go on, but let me comment about the status of women. Under Islam, women are considered mentally inferior. For example, their testimony in court is only worth half that of a man, according to Islamic law. They only are entitled to half of an inheritance. They are considered to be the source of sexual temptation for men, so they're forced to wear this clothing that covers their entire body. The Quran says, men stand superior to women in that God hath preferred some of them over others, and in that they expend of their wealth, and the virtuous woman, it's kind of hard to understand here. It goes on to say, those whose perverseness you fear, admonish them and remove them into the bedchambers and beat them. Okay? So the beating of women to force them into what, the men believe is obedience to Islam is sanctioned. Singing and dancing are forbidden in Islam, and on we could go. There's the sultans and the imams of the old religion would have harems with hundreds and thousands of women and even children. Pedophilia was acceptable for the Muslim leaders. Now, today you don't hear about that, but that was common practice back then. So Islam is not what we think it is. So as Christians, what's our response to all this? Well, we have two responses. Number one is as messengers of Christ and ambassadors of Christ, as we bring the truth spoken in love to Muslims to bring them into the redemption and the salvation that is theirs in Jesus Christ. The second is as Christian citizens of a nation, we have to understand that Islam is a political force that must be opposed. It enslaves people, it tortures people, it kills people, it brings oppression and poverty wherever it goes, and we have to fight against it, and we have to do so with open eyes and no more of this liberal, progressive propaganda that has hindered us as we've tried to fight against it with one hand tied behind our back. We have to deal with it for what it is, a wicked and evil philosophy. So, as promised, here to talk with me more about this is Diana Hodge, herself born into a fundamentalist Muslim family who survived torture, beating, threatened rape, imprisonment, and eventually came to the United States after finding Jesus Christ in a miraculous encounter. This is an interview you will not want to miss, so we'll be right back in just a little bit with more information. Before I let you go, though, be sure to register today for the Truth and Liberty Conference, September the 11th through the 13th this year in Woodland Park. Charlie Kirk will be speaking, Pastor Lorenzo Sewell, Andrew Womack, myself, Congressman Jeff Crank, and others. It's going to be a fantastic event you won't want to miss. Are you passionate about standing for truth in the culture, but don't know how to get started? Well, Truth and Liberty, our mission is to educate, unify, and mobilize the body of Christ to stand for truth in the public square. And as part of our mission, we provide you with an amazing array of resources on our website. And our website has just been revamped, remodeled, and retooled to be user-friendly. And I'm so excited about it because I believe that there's nothing like it out there anywhere. I want to encourage you today to go to truthandliberty.net and check out the Resources Center and the Get Equipped Center. On our Resources Center, you will find hundreds of links, hundreds of videos, articles, blogs, even America's original founding documents can be found on Truth and Liberty's Resources Center. It's searchable by topic, preset topic, or you can put in a custom search to find exactly what you need and what you're interested in. In the Get Equipped section, we link you to tools created by our strategic partners, including Pray, Vote, and Engage tools. We culture impact teams, civic action teams, biblical citizenship in modern America, biblical worldview training, and more. So go today to truthandliberty.net and find what you need to get equipped to stand for truth in the public square. Hello, everybody. Welcome back after the break. I am here on the Truth and Liberty set with my new friend, Diana Hodge. Diana, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Well, it's so great to have you, especially live here on the set. And, you and I had the opportunity to sit across the table and visit at a recent Andrew Womack conference. And I was just so blown away by your testimony and your story that I thought that the Truth and Liberty audience really needs to hear this. And so I'm just really thankful for you coming on today. And I thought maybe we could just begin our conversation by asking you to just share a little bit about were born in Iran and Iranian by birth, and just share a little bit about your life there before you were arrested, and what was your family life like? What was it like being a Muslim in Iran?
That's awesome. First, thank you so much for having me here, and I'm just so pleased to meet with you all and sharing the good news and the bad news both together.
Okay.
So let's just go back.
Okay.
I born in Shiraz, a city inside of Iran, and in 1975, you all know now my age, and I raised in a Muslim family, which their background, the background of my father was Jewish. So 2 or 3 generations before that, they converted to Islam for the reason of their life, because that's what they do to your businesses. So my grandpa and my dad, they were very wealthy, and they had a lot of businesses and things like that. I don't think so anybody wants to give and die. That's what the punishment of, if you been a Jewish, you can be Muslim, but if you're a Muslim, you cannot convert to any other religion, or else they call it a treason. And the penalty of death. So that's what I believe they hide from us. So I raised up in a very religious Muslim family, but everything just they practiced was just like Jewish, and I didn't know in that time. And they hesitated to tell us. And I found out when I was 19 years old, I found out the truth that my generations from my father's side, they were Jewish.
Wow.
So as a child in Muslim family, they forced us to pray 3 times a day, pray in a way that they taught us in Arabic. So and always I had a question that why I have to talk to God in Arabic. Does God knows any other language? I don't know Arabic, but they force us everything by force, and we learn obedience. So finally, I learned Arabic very well, and I just practice, and then here you go. But every time they terrorize us by God is not going to forgive you if you miss one of your prayers, number one. If you have your hair out of the scarf, so you have to wear burqa or something that you have to cover, and a lot of bunch of things that they taught us. Oh, if you do a sin, you're going to be a stone or cockroach, or in eternity in hell, they are going to be hang out with your hair. So be careful of your hair, that you should not show up. So we really raised with terror, and kind of like it just really doesn't make sense. But we learn all of this, and a lot of fear when I grew up in that family. Everything was provided, but my heart wasn't after wealth, wasn't after any of those. It wasn't attracted to me. My heart was attracted only to one thing, love, because my parent never tell me, I love you.
So you were raised in a strict Muslim family as far as you knew, even though your father had Jewish roots,
Yes.
right? And so did you wear a full burqa?
I wear the hijab, which called hijab, just the face you can show.
Okay.
Not even up to here, just the face.
Just the face.
But everything else should cover.
Oh, goodness. And at some point in your upbringing or whatever, teenage years, you discover that you enjoy singing, I take it, right?
Yes. I was a little girl when I just started to singing. And my sister, my older sister, was a political. So she was against Khomeini, but she was with the other party, which they were also Muslim. And then she ended up to be in a prison. And they gave her also death penalty. And my dad, I don't know, paid a lot of money under the table, this and that, to make it just a life for jail or prison. And then makes it to 10 years. So, and she was only 18 years old. She taught me when I was 5 years old how to sing.
Oh, she taught you?
me.
Okay.
Yes. So that's the seed that they sow in me. But the certain kind of singing, like political singing.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up. And then I didn't have, education to read because I was just 5 years old. But I was singing with orchestra in that time. But it was a kind of against Shah and against Khomeini. There was another political party. They wanted to come in. So I was just kind of like.
So you're just so people understand what you're saying. Your sister, now you were born in 1975, so that would have been when the Shah was still in power in Iran, before the Islamic Revolution and Ayatollah Khomeini takes power. Your sister was politically active, but she was against Khomeini, right? And so she ends up going. They arrest her, give her the death penalty.
Yes.
But your father, behind the scenes, paid a bribe or something else and got her sentence reduced to 10 years. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. But before she went to prison, your sister taught you to sing.
That's exactly true.
Okay. And then were you saying that you sang for political rallies and political events?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And then at some point, were you in the country of Dubai and you were singing professionally there?
Not on that age, but in the age of 26 years old, I had a professional trainer back in Iran, and said, man, you are so good. And then your voice is just trained to be a professional singer, but you cannot perform in Iran. Better to go to UAE. They give you a freedom, and you can perform, and then from there you can go to America. That was the plan.
So some professional vocalist trainer in Iran told you that.
Yes,
Oh, wow.
everything under the table.
Everything under the table. So that's how it is in dictatorships. You know, you have what you do in public, but then you have your real life behind closed doors, which is totally different. And you moved to Dubai.
Yes.
Okay, and what happened from there?
So I moved to Dubai in 2002, and in 2003 I just go back to visit my daughter. I have a daughter in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and my sister, the one that she gave her heart to Jesus anyway last year. I have to meet only these two. Why? Because the rest of my family, they rejected me already. So I was just a kind of black sheep in the family. Singing is not allowed, and now divorce is not allowed, and getting out of the country, everything I did, it was just so against the traditional.
Wow.
And their belief.
So you, for a woman to sing in public is against Sharia, right?
Of course.
Yeah. And Sharia is Islamic law, right?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, so it's against the law for you to sing because you're a woman in Iran. And so you go to Dubai and your family rejects you?
Yes.
Oh gosh, how painful was that?
Well, I was just rejected once, and this was the second time. Once I rejected first because I was just rebellious against their thought. They forced me to learn Arabic and speak to God in that language, so I was questioning them. And they hated me from the day one, and they found all this question they weren't able to answer me about Allah, and then why you have to speak Arabic. And secondly, it was the fight over the inheritance of my dad. The early time that my dad, it was just like I think he was about 60 years old. He passed away, and he put a lot of inheritance. So everybody fighting over it to just to justify. And guys has to get everything, and the girls they can't have it. Why? I don't know. This is what they learn in Islam. So I have 4 brothers, included me 7 sisters. I have a big family. So what all these brothers get together and just make some word between themselves, and they cut the sisters. Well, they were okay with that, even their heart was upset, but I stood up. I say, well, I have a father, and if he is your father, my father's too. And I was agree with getting the half a portion compared than the man, which is man has twice than woman.
That's under Islamic law?
That's, okay. Yeah, and I was still agree. But they are just, I think they're so greedy in some way that they wanted everything.
Yeah. And so you got rejected because of that?
Because of them. And they came, my brother, I love them, I forgive them, I have no unforgiveness, that's the point. But the truth is, there's a lot of people, they go through the same thing that I've been through and rejected. And my third brother wanted to kill me and my daughter. He came to enter to my house. I already had a husband that time, and they forced me to go to the court and sign that all this inheritance will go to the brothers. And I say no. So they came against me horribly, and then they treated me as worst woman in the whole world. So that's what they become little, more harsh to rejection. And
so you had gone back to Iran to visit your sister and your daughter, and is that when you were arrested?
Yes.
Okay.
No, when I coming back from Shiraz to Dubai, they arrested me in an airplane that was on the board, and they returned the airplane back to the immigration door, and I saw the commanders coming up, and they arrested me.
So in Iran, you were on a plane to go back to Dubai, yes. And they turned the plane around, and you were arrested by the Iranian police.
Yes,
okay.
Those 4 commanders, they came with gun and just very humiliating.
4 commanders come on a plane and haul you off of the plane.
Yes.
And what were the charges against you?
But they didn't say anything, but I knew somebody actually turned me in. That's what happened.
Okay.
Some family.
Yeah.
That they didn't like me.
Turned you in for what, though? What did they claim?
They turned me, they said, actually, they found one of the pictures of me that I'm singing, that picture.
Okay.
Send it to the immigrations and say, well, you got to arrest this woman. She is mufsid el ars, which means the worst woman in the whole world with the
Oh.
sin that she's committing. So
The
they
s-
had a picture of me that I'm performing, singing. That's
Okay.
the only picture that they had.
Wow.
And through
And
that-
what happened? Did you go through a trial? Were you
Yes.
convicted?
I've been through trial. Very first trial, it was in the immigration. So the officer in immigration was interrogator. First number one interrogator was right there, and he told me that we know what you did, and you don't have to hide anything, but there is a way for you, because if you don't submit to what we say, then there is another door that they're gonna hang you, because this has a death penalty. I was just crying and crying. I did not have any word, but I knew what he means. And he showed me the door, and he asked me literally that if I allow him and all the officers rape me, then they will let me go a list of the punishment, so you will not die. And that's what they asked me. And in my heart was so just, I have no attorney, nobody to defend me.
No
and now
attorney.
I'm in the dangers of the hands of bunch of officers that they want to rape me.
Wow.
They have no shame, because they're standing in authority. They can do anything.
Oh my gosh. So Diana, I just want to make sure people understand you're hauled back by immigration. They charge you with violating Islamic law by singing
Yes.
and tell you that you are going to have the death penalty.
Yes.
And then the corrupt officer says, but if you let me and my other guys here, my friends, rape you, we'll get your charges reduced.
Exactly. And if not,
How
I will
long-
put everything up on top. That's what he said.
He would do what?
He said the worst statement of me. That's what he said.
And how long did that go on?
Well, that go on because I was just crying, and then they say, well, you're gonna stay in the not the permanent, they call it jail. All right.
Mm-hmm.
They send me to the jail, but the jail that they sent me right after that, it was a dungeon. It was, I never even imagined. It was a dark place under the ground, no windows, no tile, no bathroom, and no human can even live on that place. Me and about 18 women, we were there, and as much as you want, you just cry in darkness, no light, and you can imagine that where you're gonna go with your bathroom. Forget about shower. How are you gonna eat food? They kept us 10 days there and tortured us. And well, I got a kidney disease right after that when they sent me to central prison, which is Adilabad. That's the name of the prison in Shiraz, Adilabad. And after 10 days of torturing, taking me to the court and questioning and interrogating me and returning me back. So, well, they transferred me to the central prison.
So it goes probably without saying, Diana, but I just want to ask, did you, when you say you had a trial, you didn't get to call your own witnesses, did you?
No.
You didn't have a lawyer represent you?
They did not allow anybody. Nobody knew where I am.
So they brought you in to interrogate you.
Yeah.
And did the prosecution bring a witness or anything like that, or it was
No.
just, and then you were found guilty?
Yes, they just found a picture of me. That's it.
Uh-huh.
That's yours.
Even though that picture of you singing was didn't take place in Iran, it was
No,
in Dubai.
it was in Dubai.
Okay, so the government of Iran is prosecuting you, threatening you with the death penalty for singing in another country.
That's right.
And the guards, the immigration officials, threaten to rape you or basically hang you if you don't let them rape. And then they put you in a dungeon, literally,
Yes.
a below ground prison cell for 10 days.
Yes.
And you have no bathroom, you have no water, you have no light.
No.
Were you chained up or anything like that, or what?
We were just terrified.
Yeah.
We just so terrified, and we couldn't even imagine that what is the next day. So you're completely in dark. You don't know is a day or is a night, and you had just a very small window on the top that you can probably see that's a little light on it, and that's all you had. And then they throw a bunch of potato, like they throw it, just like they don't even treat a
Throw it on the floor.
dog like that.
Yeah.
Here in America, they respect a lot of animals. So They had no respect of human life there, especially when it comes to women. So you can eat or you can die. That nobody wanted even. I don't remember anybody wanted to have.
You're in this dungeon and you don't know when you're going to get out or what's going to happen to you.
Day and night.
Couldn't talk to family?
No.
Okay. No, couldn't make any phone calls, I'm sure.
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so then after 10 days, you're taken to the central prison?
The central prison, and they told me that you're going to be better in a place. I mean, it's cleaner, it's better. At least you'll have bathroom and stuff. So they transferred me there.
Okay. And what was it like there, the central prison in Iran?
Well, there was a divide. It's like a divided rooms, and in each rooms there were about 20 women. They sleeping, some of them on the floor, some of them in the bed, if there is a place on their bed. And it's a horribly dirty, and the mouse going all over. That's really I experienced. And one bathroom for all these 20 people, one shower for all these 20 people. And then the group that I've been there, they were convicted with thefts, and some of them murdered their husband. So I just find myself, I'm in a big trouble because I never seen this in my whole entire life. I couldn't believe that this is my life, but I just so scared.
Yeah. Did they tell you how long you were going to be in prison?
No. What they did, they tortured me, because every time they take me to the court, I had trial and I have to go to the court with the same question, and I have to answer all over and over. And there was a gallows outside of the prison, just out of the room in like a backyard, and smell blood all over. I never smelled this much blood in my whole life. And there was a gallows, and they showed me, the next is you. You're going to be there. And they tortured me on that way.
Okay. So make sure, I just keep recapping because I want to make sure people understand. You're in this central prison in a cell with 20 other women. You have one bathroom, one shower, not enough beds. Some people are sleeping on the floor. There's rats or mice all over the place. And outside of that cell, there's a gallows where they hang people.
Yes.
Okay. And you were told you're next.
Yes, the officers that take me to the prison, from prison to the court, first of all, we were very humiliated. They give a special clothes for the prisoner, right? So when you wear that kind of clothes, you're already dead, because you say, oh my gosh, I'm in that. And then chain in your feet, chain in your hands, and that's how you're gonna go to put you in the car. And with the special car, prison car, they will drop you to the court, and it's just an unbelievable torture.
Okay. So you go back and forth to the court. What happens, I'm sure some time goes by, what happens next?
Yeah, every time I went to the court, they try, and they put me in the path, convicted me that I'm mufsed al ars, and that's the death penalty. Every single time I went there, they told me the same thing. And I just didn't know if there is any chance for me to get out of it. And I was just like pass out every time on the court and crying out for my life. That's what my reaction, 26 years old. And I was just telling, I repent. I don't do that anymore. Give me grace, forgive me. So all I asked, that's my reaction towards the judge, forgiveness. And their answer, there is no forgiveness.
And so in this central prison, were you tortured there? I mean, what you've described is really for torture already, but was there other torture administered,
Yes.
Or
At the end, what they gave me, they reduced from the death penalty to give 99 lashes and then 5,000 of our currency money to pay as a
5,000 or 500,000?
Oh, well, it's going to be like for today, if I equal, because it's a long time ago, it's going to be like $5,000, something like that.
And
you have
99
to pay
lashes?
99 lashes, and then 3 years. Within the 3 years, if you commit the same sin, and you convicted, you're going to get that death penalty back. So that's the kind of judgment they gave me.
So here in America, Diana, no one gets lashes anymore. We don't even know what that's like. What would that have been? What would that have been something you could have survived, or how bad would 99? I think your conviction record says blows by lashes.
Yes.
So what were they lashing you with, or would they have lashed you with? What would that have been like? Do people survive that?
That's a real question, and let me go back. So, yes, the prisoner guard women should blow the 99 lashes, and the men from other side, they will hear actually that if they performed their job on what they have to execute at that. So I found a favor in the eyes of that guard prisoners woman since I entered, because she reads my crime is a singing. Usually Persian, they love singers. They appreciate singing, and normal people. And she was one of the women that she appreciates singing. And she came to me in the prison before even I got to that point, and she told me, "Can you sing for me?" So I was singing for her. For during that whole this time that I was there, she built relationship with me, and she knew that she's going to be in charge of 99 lashes. So I found grace in her eyes. She told me, "Go wear the most thickest clothes, and if you don't have, borrow from others, that when I have to blow that 99 lashes, you will have the less pain and the no scar or less scar in your body." That's what I did.
Okay, so praise God for that. What else? Were there ever any beatings or psychological torture or anything like that while you were in prison?
To others, yes, but to me, I think I have a lot of grace of God, that physically was that the only one at 99 lashes.
Did you ever have to go through that? Did you ever receive the 99
Yes.
lashes? You did?
Yes, I did.
Oh my goodness. And tell me, if you can, what that was like.
Well, very humiliating, number one, and very painful to endure the situation that you are right now there, even though that woman gave me grace and not having a
So
scar.
you had thick clothing on, but still,
Yes.
what was it like?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. I think it's painful.
Yeah. And somehow, though, you're no longer in prison in Iran. Were you able to escape at some point?
Yes. After I received the 99 lashes and paid the penalty, they just set me free. When I went out of the jail, and my passport was still with the judge in the court. They did not release that passport.
Okay. And yet you're sitting here in front of me today. So how did that happen?
I think it's only miracle. I can call it miracle because that's the truth. So I found, if you remember, let's just go back. I found a favor in the eyes of the second guard, the prisoner, the immigration guard, the second one. He has a little fear of God in him, and he helped me just to take that death penalty by rewrite the statement against me.
I see.
So, and that guy said, when you are done with that, if you're alive after that 99 lashes and you're healed, just come back here, and I will write a letter to the court, to the same judge that will release your passport, which is impossible. They don't do that. And I just found a favor. It was waiting time of 90 days to be healed and be little, restored from those traumatizing time.
Yes.
90 days. And within 4.5 months after the whole scenario that happening after the prison, I was able to receive my passport. But I did not want to go out of country because I thought that they're going to arrest me again.
Right.
So I choose to go to one of the port and take the ship, sailboat, and then get out of country.
Okay.
That's what happened.
That's what happened. So you left on a boat. Where did you go? Back to Dubai or somewhere
Back to
else?
Dubai.
Okay. And then were you able to kind of re-establish yourself in Dubai, and then what happened in your life next?
Yes, so I had another skill which I was a personal trainer.
Ah.
So I developed that skill, and I was able to work with the world champion. I found favor again there.
Mm-hmm.
I think God likes me.
Yes.
So
of
I
course.
found that
Mm-hmm.
place and I started to redo, but I was very traumatized that I could not just really think through
Mm-hmm.
what is the next and what is the next. But for a temporary season, I think that was the perfect thing that I had. And then right after that, when I visited Jesus, of course, in 2006, that I encountered with Jesus, a whole another scenario.
Okay, tell us about this. This is the most amazing story. But you were trying to, if I remember what you told me, you were trying to do your prayers as a Muslim.
Yes.
And you had to do so many a day and all this sort of thing. And real quickly, tell us about that and
Yes.
how that made you feel.
Well, I just try to restore whatever is lost in me. I was seeking God, but I just didn't believe for certain reason. And the biggest question that if you are a real God, why you allow this innocent girl like me, I thought I was innocent, being through all this torture. And I can't even believe that what happened to me since childhood to that point. I think for me that wasn't any other point, that believing in God. But still there was some small voice in me that I practiced Islam. That's all I knew, right? 3 days, 3 nights, I did not eat anything and barely drink water, and then seeking Him, reading Quran, cover to cover, and everything that they told me to do. And I went in my knee, middle of the night, wake up 1 o'clock to 2 or 3 o'clock, 2 hours every single night, and have 1,000 of piece of the rosary and speaking Allah, Ali, Muhammad, Allah, Ali, Muhammad. That's the kind of thing that they taught us, that you have to call them to answer you. So I did everything by my effort, and for 2 years constantly, I just did that. And I never see anything, no word, or it just, and I knew I was serious to seeking God. And then one day afternoon, it was August 2006, all of the sudden, I just kind of like throw every book that I believed, Quran and Hadith and all kind of book that I was reading and believing, and I say, now, if you are a real man, that's the Middle Eastern point, show yourself to me. You're not God. You're not existent. But if you are, why I can't hear you? Nobody can hear you. Or neither we can see you. But you can see us and you can hear us. That's there shows that you're not righteous. So I was accusing unknown God, but I was honest, and I told everything, and I wept and cried until I had no breath.
Wow.
And
so
that's
for
the
2
time.
years you were praying many times a day, right? And you had to memorize these prayers and speak these chants out and all this, and day in and day out for 2 years, until finally you were exhausted with it, and you just said, if you're real, show yourself. If you're not, you're not real. What happened after that?
All of the sudden, that I was really exhausted. I knew that I just, like in a sense of mind, it was afternoon, I saw someone come out of the wall. He was naked but covered with blood. Even his hair was sticky. All of the blood was covering him from head to toe. I saw that, and then immediately I say, you are Jesus, the Messiah. How did you come to see me? And then he said, because you call me. In my brain, I called Allah. I called God. And then he claimed that this is the one you call. And I was just shaking. I never have fear or anxiety. Actually, I was excited that I see someone that I knew, that I didn't know that I know.
So how did you know Jesus? Were you taught about Jesus in Islam, or why did you realize it was him? How did you know that?
I believe that as he is our creator, he is our father.
Yes.
It doesn't matter, we don't know him, but he knows us.
Yes.
And he revealed himself to me. I had no doubt. I
Yeah.
just instantly say, you are Jesus, the Messiah.
That's what I'm trying to understand, is how did you know to say that if you weren't
don't
taught
know.
about him and stuff? And so he came out of the wall, and you say he's covered in blood. And what happened? You said, well, I was calling on Allah, and you show up. He said, because you called me. What happened next?
Well, the next is I told him that if this is not a dream, do something that I believe. Though I see it, I just see it like very clear, like I'm seeing you from this distance. And he asked me, what do you want me to do? I say, touch me, touch me. And then all of a sudden I see that he wear a white robe around him, but his hand, it just right there in my heart, physical heart, and touched me twice, that I had no doubt that this spirit is not a spirit. It has a flash because he touched me. And not only that, right after that, he hugged me. I was in his arm. And then he looked at me with love, and I was weeping and crying and joy, everything. All the emotion was mixed in it. And he gave me a water that was sweet. And he spoke to me that, I give you eternal life, my daughter, follow me. I never heard this word. I never had the background of Christianity, never read Bible or have access to any church or any friend. So Jesus himself, as a maker of universe, he ministered to me and he hugged me. And he told me that how much you can be close to God, your maker. So the next thing, he walked out. And I was crying, crawling behind him, and was not wanted to let him go. And then he told me that, I asked him actually that, are you leaving me? Because I saw that he's leaving, and he said, I am with you and you are in me. I am in you and you are in me. That's the last word, and turned and walked through that wall. I was crying like I was just couldn't believe that anybody can believe me. I thought that nobody would believe what I saw. So I was searching the rooms, apartment. He wasn't there. And instantly, I give a phone call to one of the mullah, priests of Islam, because that's all we have access, right? And I told him, this happened right now. And I swear and swear, you can't believe, but I saw. And then he told me that you cannot tell this to anybody because you are holy. That's why you have that clear revelation. And I told him, I am sinner, you are holy. But anyway, in Islam, that's what they believe. If you have kind of revelation, dreams, or some amazing story, just like visitation of Jesus, that's because you are holy, which is not true. So,
Diana, how did you find your way to America and Andrew Wommack Ministries, and that we happen to be sitting across from each other today? How did you come to America?
Wow, that's interesting. When I'm now brand new Christian, 2008, they say whatever you ask, it shall be given. And I hold on that. I run to the minister, one minister, and I just say, I'm a singer. I suppose I have to be in Dubai, but I suppose I have to be in US, and I want to be a worship leader. I want to worship God. Can you pray for me? I want to go to US. So he prayed for me, and I never forget that time. That prayer was stick to my heart that one day I will be in US. And that's what happened in 2013. For the first time, worship conference, I came to visit US, but I back to Dubai. That was the first time of visiting US.
Okay.
And then the second time when I came from Dubai and I never backed, it was 2016, and I moved to US and I never backed.
Okay. Well,
and
so you come to the United States finally, 2013, then again in 2016, you stay here. Are you currently here legally? You're under a visa or something like that?
Yes, I came here both time. I came here with B1 and B2 visitors visa and business visa. I had a business back in Dubai,
I see.
export and import business. So I was able to obtain the visa by having the interview with the U.S. Embassy back in Dubai. That's how I came to U.S.
So Diana, your testimony is one of the most incredible ones I've ever heard in my life. It's absolutely amazing. You lived in Iran under Sharia. Now, Sharia is Islamic law. You were almost, put to death because of something as silly as singing. I'd like for our listeners to understand something. When we look at politics, we think about the world and we think about the Middle East and terrorism and Israel and all of this. Is it Islam that's the root of the problem there?
Absolutely, yes. So they can control and they can put you in fear of if you don't do the right or if you do it wrong and right. It's just all based on your performance, which nobody can keep the law. So that's how the Islam is rooted. And Ayatollah regime of Iran is even more controlling than Shah. So Shah have a constitution in 1906 when they have the first constitution and they give the right to equality and women can vote and all kind of nice things. But even Shah couldn't perform perfectly because they have a root in Islam. When they have problem, they went to the dead body of Reza, Imam this and that to asking help.
Wow.
And then converted to the second constitution.
Yeah.
1979, that was a second constitution built by Ayatollah Khomeini, which based a controlling Islamic Sharia law. So it just giving nice word of the equality, but in reality, they never perform.
Well, and I wish I could go on with you. I will have to have you back and you can talk more about those subjects. Can you, I want people to understand one more thing before we break. So in 30 seconds, how should we interact? How can we show the love of God to Muslims?
By just telling them the truth. Because the truth, that will set them free, just like my sister, like everybody, all my friends. I share them the testimony that Jesus is a work of redemption. He will redeem you from controlling. He will set you free from all the fear of not being in the hell.
Yeah.
That's what the fear that Islam keep them.
Diana, I'm sorry we're out of time today. Thank you so much for coming on
Absolutely.
Truth and Liberty. It's been just amazing. And folks, I just want to encourage you today to pray for the Middle East, pray for Iran. There's a great revival taking place there. Pray for Muslims everywhere. But also I want to encourage you all to make sure to make plans to come to the Truth and Liberty Conference, September 11th through the 13th, here in beautiful Woodland Park, Colorado. You'll be fired up and equipped to stand for truth in the public square. And be sure to go on truthandlibertygtn.com, get a free copy of What is Truth, Andrew Womack's booklet that will change your life. And you can register. Remember, there's two websites, truthandlibertygtn.com, you can get your booklet, or truthandliberty.net, where you can register for the Truth and Liberty Conference and also subscribe. God bless you all. Thank you for watching. Diana, thanks for coming on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.